Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and I've got an unboxing, and frankly, it's from Snap-on. I couldn't actually remember what they were still supposed to send me. I knew I had some stuff on back order, and I just savored it, trying to remember what I ordered from them, and then finally gave up and checked my online communications with them and realized what it was, and I'm happy. So what I'm going to do is crack this open for you right now so you can enjoy it like I did. One of the things I'm going to also add in, I'm going to open it with a Leatherman here. I'll use this side, I guess, the blade side. This is a Leatherman Wave Plus. It's their newest version. I've had the Wave since they first came out. But I wanted to talk about blade steel while I was going to open this. This is their standard 420 HC blade steel. It's nothing spectacular and nothing you write home about. Decent, not great. It's a little brittle for a narrow blade like this. And Leatherman doesn't mark this one. This is another Leatherman here. And this one is marked right here, 154 cm. That's a crucible powder steel. It's considered a super steel. I think it's, on the beginning end of super steels. So they do make better blades than just their standard 420 steel. And then this one here is S30V steel, which is actually a really good super steel. My favorite of what Leatherman offers, S90V, is kind of like the next line up. So you can see here on this one, maybe you can see it in there. Let me see, right about in here somewhere. It's a S90V. So this is probably a little bit higher super steel as far as edge retention and absolute sharpness than the S30V, which is higher than the 154 cm, which is higher than the 420. So there is a series of potential steels, and this Benchmade here has another popular type of steel here called D2. And the D2 steel is, it's a tool steel, so it's not considered one of the super steels, but still quite a good steel for a knife, especially as you get into bigger form factors like that guy. The reason I'm pointing that out is a lot of times things can look very much the same, like these two blades, but as far as performance goes, they are wildly different. And as far as strength goes, as far as the ability not to snap under, a lateral load, huge difference. But you pay for that difference. Now, most of that difference comes in two ways. It comes in that it's a more expensive steel, and you're paying probably more from the Crucible company or whoever it is to produce it and sell it to you. It may be harder to work with in terms of the tempering. There might be some more nuances to it. 420, 440 stainless, stuff like that, that's pretty well dialed in. But it doesn't have these amazing properties, so that's one of the reasons we've been exploring, the super steels. And the actual cost of the steel is not that high, but it isn't just the cost. You've got to then machine the steel, then you've got to harden it. And the hardening is where a lot of the magic happens. That's why companies like Buck have been so successful with a really base model steel. I think I have a Buck here, like this thing. That's a Gerber there. Gerber's had good luck with some of theirs. Anyway, what I want you to understand, though, is there's a lot of lookalikes, but they're completely different when you actually get to the functionality of the steel. And I also wanted to point out, a lot of people see this on, say, a Benchmade knife. They'd say, oh, I've got the D2. That must be the model number or something. No, the model number is actually this microscopic little number under the butterfly. So This one's the 275. It's Siebert's Adamus. Benchmade, by the way, the butterfly was because the first real Benchmade knives were butterfly knives, little two-handled, flip open kind of a Filipino knife, and that actually is where the logo came from. But now they wedge the name in microscopic print under it, and then generally have on the back side they will have the blade steel listed. 154 cm is their most popular, but they use D2 S30V. This is a Benchmade here, S90V, and then if there's a designer, they'll include their logo on that side too. So anyway, so let's open this guy up. I'll use this S30V titanium handled Leatherman. Snap this guy open. There we go. Big box. Weighs almost nothing. Let's see what's in here. Wow, bubbles, more paperwork, more bubbles, and finally, yep, there it is. Isn't that amazing? Beautiful. Look at that. There we are. It's the PPSG103 for orange. That's glorious. It's so nice. Made in Spain. I ordered the orange one because you'll find out what this is for. Wanted to see, I brought out my other, this is a made in Spain snap-on, probably out of the same factory. I wanted to see how the oranges compare. Quite a bit different, but anyway, there it is. It's a 3/16 punch. Why do I want something like this? And why in 3/16? Well, it turns out that this particular size is one of the more popular when you're doing firearms work. And I have other kinds of punches. This one, it's tapered. It's not going to cut it because partway through, if it's a slot on the width of a firearm, it's probably going to run into a being too thick pretty quick. Doesn't work. And then I looked through my regular flat-tipped punches, and the smallest I had was an 1/8, and I needed something a little bit smaller. 3/16, obviously. 4/16 would be an 1/8. And I have my roll pin punches. And roll pin punches, I do go down small enough here, but they actually have a little bump right there at the tip, designed to center itself in a roll pin. And a roll pin is just like a metal collar that is actually forced in as a fastener in order to keep the parts together. So you literally pound it in and it closes in on itself, which is very common in a lot of firearms, but I'm not interested in just that. I needed one for other types of work that just involve small pins, and that's a lot usually in a lot of takedowns of handguns and of trigger mechanisms. And I wanted something bigger. A lot of times when they go small, or like I should bring this one out again, that's a tiny, tiny little punch compared to this. I've got a grippy surface. I've got a flared end, probably for control to protect my hand if I'm really striking it. But what I'm going to strike it with, if anything, is probably this. And this is a little 2-ounce Blue Point hammer. And this is about what you'd need for most of the work if it needs any additional encouragement to come loose. About the biggest hammer I've ever used, this is an 8-ounce snap-on. And the only reason I use this 8-ounce snap-on is because this is the smallest of the dead blow ball peen hammers that Snap-on makes. If they made a 2-ounce one, I'd probably get it, or at least a 4-ounce. But anyway, this is about, look at that, perfect, absolutely perfect for my needs. And I got orange. Orange is my preferred color for any firearms tool if I have a choice. But you can see that they get so small, comparing these two. If I'm looking at the different punch sizes, it's just harder to hold on and control such a small punch like this one. So that's why I wanted a bigger one like this. It's about 19 bucks. It's about twice what a good punch sells for on its own. And that's totally within reason, I think, for quality, craftsmanship, all of the little details that have gone into a punch like this. I have other things that are kind of dedicated. These are, this is designed to punch the pins out to break apart receivers on certain firearms. And then I've got, other dedicated tools such as this for different work. And this actually has a little hammer face, but it's not quite as good whacking away with something like this as more of a precision tool like that. And as I mentioned in a previous video, they don't make this anymore for some reason, or at least it's not available according to my Snap-on dealer. They've been discontinued. They make a 4-ounce, I think, but this is a 2, which is plenty for most of the stuff. If you're using a bigger hammer, there might be something else wrong. And this is also a Leatherman. This one uses the standard 420C or HC steel as well. A little thicker blade. This is their mutt. They call that their. It's basically their firearms tool, designed for all kinds of field activities that you might encounter while you're running around with a firearm. It's got a bronze cleaning, like an awl here, a scraper designed to scrape the carbon and chip away carbon in your action if there's a problem. This is the pin punch that it comes with. Drift punch, designed to punch apart most firearm pieces, and if you look, it's a little bit bigger than this, and that's because this is too big for a lot of the handguns, especially polymer frame handguns. You need 3/16. This also has a few other features on here. Obviously replaceable jaw, knives here, larger needle nose pliers, and this is designed as kind of a striking surface or a hammer. It's got a cutting surface here. It's got interchangeable bits, and then it's got a saw here. I guess if you need to do some, build a log cabin in the woods or something. And this particular thing here actually has a purpose right here, and that is designed. If there's a certain type of a jam that you can get into. It's got a bottle opener. Got to have one of those, I guess. Extra bits. But there's a certain kind of jam that certain firearms can get where an expended casing actually can ride up above the bolt and lock up the entire mechanism. And about all you can do is kind of pull the bolt back with force, and that's what that's designed to do, is try to free that up. That's almost a once-in-a-lifetime problem, if that ever happens. Anyway, so that, this has been a kind of a go-to punch in the past. I wanted a dedicated, slightly smaller one with a particular firearm bend, and that's what I got. For some reason it was back ordered, so apparently these are in demand. It seems like there's a lot of things in that area in demand. So that's my unboxing of the Snap-on PPSG103 punch. With that, Doc out.